I don't know if all of you know about cocoa. I told myself, why don't I just learn how to make chocolate? I believe there's nothing that can, even if something happens, even if there's a hitch, I always say there's always a solution. Do something and do it right. Lived in Switzerland for 35 years, believe it or not. Got married there, have 3 children. 2 of them still live in Switzerland and 1 lives in the UK. And I'm also a grandmother of 2. So it's been a long journey since I left Nairobi. That was in I can't remember exactly, but it was a long journey. I went there to study French and got married to somebody from West Africa, Benin. And I ended up staying there. I thought I'd actually be coming back home to teach French, but things, never happen the way you want. But I was happy there, and I taught French and English to different sectors in Switzerland, because English is not one of the main languages. So I taught I taught English first, and then went into French when I went into the international schools. And I had the privilege of teaching in the Lyon Hospitality University, which is actually number 3 in the world for hospitality. And that's maybe where I started seeing what I could do later on. I didn't want to come back when I came back, frankly speaking, because my son, the last one, was still in university. So leaving your child on his own is not the easiest thing to do. But my husband had retired, and his French is not very good, so adjusting into that French world has never been easy for him. So I decided to take the leap and come back to Kenya, I've always wanted to come back to Kenya. I've always told myself I'll never get old in Europe. It's the worst thing that can ever happen to me, because you're alone when you get old. Your children leave you and you find yourself on your own. So I told my children that I would never get old there. And I would say with the blessings, I actually managed to do what I wanted to. So the transition coming back has been, I can't say hard, because I came back just before COVID, and I've not had that thinking time. But all I knew was that I was not going to go back. Okay, I came here to stay, and I had to make my life right here and make it happen. The idea of chocolates, frankly speaking, was actually the 3rd thing that I had put on my list to do. The first thing I told myself was that I was not going to teach. I'd done 30 years of teaching. It was enough teaching. But then I told myself, since I like eating, I like food, let me do something I would say linked to food. So we had actually thought of opening a coffee shop. That was our first plan. So what I did was I decided to take courses. I said, I can cook, but I'm not a professional. So I went to different places in France and to Cordon Bleu, one of the prestigious, I would say pastry and everything, school. And I decided, let me go and learn how to do things the right way. So I actually started with pastry, and then went to bread making. Because I said, yeah, if we're starting a coffee shop, why don't I just do everything to do it? Good pastry, good bread, and then we'll see. And then an idea, because I love chocolate, especially Neuchâtel, where I used to live, has this fantastic shops. When you enter to these chocolate shops, the smell just drives you crazy. So I told myself, why don't I just learn how to make chocolate? So I did my research in Switzerland. Switzerland is known for milk chocolate, but I wanted the dark chocolate. And Belgium is number one, I would say. Sorry for the Swiss, but Belgium is number one for dark chocolate. So I did my research, looked for a proper school to learn how to make chocolate. And that's when I went to Belgium to learn how to make the dark chocolate. But at the same time, they'll not teach you how to make dark chocolate, they'll teach you everything. So it was all a complete course of chocolate making. And the one that they really now focus on in Belgium is what they call bean to bar. That means that you buy the beans, roast the beans, winnow the beans, and then grind them until you get to the final result, which is the bar. And so I learned all that. Yes, the thing is, the course is broken down. You go for 2 weeks. I was working at that time, so I couldn't actually take 6 months. So I actually took, modules to learn how to make chocolate in Belgium. So I went back and forth from Neuchâtel to Brussels to learn how to make chocolate. So asking the question about the dark chocolate, I think the dark chocolate is the base of chocolate. You wouldn't want to make milk chocolate just per se. You'd have to actually go through the process of learning how to make dark chocolate and good dark chocolate, not just dark chocolate. A lot of people actually associate dark chocolate to bitterness. And it is not bitter. If you actually have good chocolate, it's not bitter. And dark chocolate is healthy chocolate. It's actually good chocolate, especially if you take dark chocolate about 80%. It's healthy. It's good for you. It's good for your morale. It actually enhances, it helps depression. So dark chocolate is a fantastic chocolate to have, especially, and another thing is that you can't eat a lot. That's the nice thing about dark chocolate. You just eat a little bit, it makes you happy. You don't put on too much weight because that's what people are scared of. It doesn't have a lot of sugar. So it actually covers everything that you want to have in chocolate. When we first came, there's all this concept. I first of all had to find where I can source the cocoa, and that was one of the most challenging thing. I told myself, and because when I was in Belgium, I'd been told that I could get Tanzania chocolate and Uganda. They have cocoa beans. So that idea, I said, okay. And another question I'd asked, do they use child labor? And I said, no. Tanzania and Uganda, you've got chances of getting cocoa beans that are good, free trade and all that. So I told myself, I'm going to find this chocolate. So I spent time looking online, just checking, trying to find people, called people, and most of the time I realized that they actually don't have a lot of chocolate in stock everywhere. So making calls, I finally found one in Tanzania, okay, in Mbeya. So I did my research, called them, and they told me, okay, yes, we can give you the cocoa beans. And I got the cocoa beans. It was like, a baby. I'm so excited. I can actually have my cocoa beans. And I got them. Now, the other challenge there was, okay, you have the cocoa beans. Do you have a machine to grind? Okay, because I can winnow them, I can I can shell them after roasting, but do you have the machine? So we went online to look for the machine, ordered it, it came. I said, okay, now let's try. Tried, it goes, it's bitter. What are we doing wrong, So it took us a few months to actually get it right. And then for the milk chocolate and white chocolate is actually not chocolate, I'm sorry to tell people. It's just milk cocoa butter and sugar. Sorry, guys. Yes, it's not chocolate. So all these things, and then another challenge I faced at the same time was actually getting the temperature, because sometimes the room, the kitchen can get too hot. And when I was pouring this chocolate, it was just not holding. It was so liquid. So that was another stress. Okay, the temperature. How will I get this temperature low enough for me to pour this chocolate and so that it holds in the mold? So all those were the challenging aspects at the beginning. You know, going crazy, almost crying, say, I can't do this. I learned it, I can do it, but what am I doing wrong? And the day we actually got the bar right, oh my God, that was something else. And then we went on the pralines. Pralines, it's funny because the French don't call them pralines, but the Swiss call them pralines, and the Belgians call them pralines, and the French feel very insulted. They're not pralines. So pralines is when you actually use a special mold, you create a cavity, and then you fill it up with different flavors. And I wanted to do pralines with fruit that are made locally. So I had to get, for example, mangoes, passion. I wanted everything to be very, very local in that sense. So what I did was I tried out with a different fruit, and I said, okay, I made mango, passion. I even made one with black plum, the zambarao. I said, wow, I can actually do this. So after that, it was to market them. That was a challenging thing, because first of all, pralines are expensive to make, and at the same time, people here are not used to pralines. So that was the other aspect that was a bit challenging. So as you can say, I had to ask friends to actually buy chocolate from me, you know, plead with friends, listen, just buy this, taste it and see. So we started with the pralines very well, they went on very well. And then, all of a sudden, of course, it was during the COVID time, all of a sudden, nobody was buying the pralines. I mean, I ran out of the number of friends I could actually sell my pralines to. So nobody was buying. What do I do? That was the dilemma. I said, okay, in Kenya, people love bars, chocolate bars. So let me go back to the bars, okay? So now I started making chocolate bars. I said, I'll just have to try and see if the bars would sell. And that's how I actually went on to the bars and developed the different types of bars and put the pralines on the side, and hopefully one day people buy my pralines. Yeah, that's a very challenging question actually, because the thing is, when we came, we actually, we wanted to start this coffee shop, so we said we're going to put some money aside to be able to start something, and we said we're not getting any loans, we don't want any debts, we just want to have what we have. I think it's also the Swiss mentality, don't borrow, use what you have. So it's always in the back of our minds. So when we came and started it, we told ourselves, we don't have much money, so let's start small, okay? And we got that small machine, we're doing everything quite manual, you know, you saw what we do when we are tempering. We didn't have that big machine. And then one day, I told my sister, I really need this big machine to be able to move just a little step forward. So she told me, okay, fine, I will lend you that money, okay, and you can get that machine. And that's what we did. we need 3 more of those machines. It will come one day. I know that it's going to happen. But at the moment, we just decided, let's start small. At the same time, also when we went to shops, when we started going to the shops, we told ourselves, let's not aim too big. Let's start small. Let's go to the small shops first. And they're more receptive, and maybe they'll listen to us. So the aggressive us, I would say, maybe aggressive not, but first we started going to the organic markets. It was COVID, but once in a while the markets were opening. So we'd go to the markets and try and sell our products in the markets. Of course, people sample, people buy. So we went there, we did a few markets, we did rounds of markets, I can't say a few, we did quite a lot. Whenever we heard, oh, there's a market here, we quickly registered and went for it. Some markets are not expensive, some are very expensive, but we tried to actually say, okay, we have to go, we have to get known in the markets. So after that, we said, okay, this year when we had that second lockdown, all the markets closed again. Back to the drawing board. So he said, okay, fine. This time, let's go to the small shops, because we had the cans. So let's go to the small shops. So we started making calls. We called Zucchini. They said, okay, let's try your product. And also, we also assured them that we'll have promoters there. We'll have people promoting our product, because the best way to sell the chocolate is to actually promote it. People have to taste, because they have a taste, they're used to chocolate. You have to convince them why your chocolate is different from the others. Why am I going to buy yours and I'm so used to this other one? So what are you going to do? Promote it. So we assured them that we're going to do the promotion. So we went to Zucchini, and we're still there doing our promotion. And then we went to Langata Link shops. There, they just said, we'll manage. We'll get people, we'll convince them in our own way, and they'll buy your chocolates. And then that's when we started going to the other shops. We went to the Current Provision Store, and we went to Spinner's Web. So we physically go there and ask for the person responsible. And we talk to them. We make them taste our chocolate, and then that's when the discussion starts. So far, it has been very, very positive. Nobody has told us no. It's been nice. And then we decided, okay, we've done a few of Nairobi, let's hit Nanyuki. We went to Nanyuki, did the same thing. So we're in a few shops in Nanyuki, Butterbean, Shop 14, Nook, and I think the Northern Nomad. So we've taken them to Nanyuki. So we said, okay, next we might have to go a bit further to the different places. Recently, we've started stocking in Healthy You, who just came to us and said, listen, our bosses actually tasted your chocolate and they loved it. Can we have it? And the nice thing is that you are local. It's not an imported chocolate, and it's good, so we want you in our shop. So we were very, very happy. It's not me who did the pricing. Actually, it's my husband. He's actually into that. He's very analytical. So he calculated every single thing. Electricity, the raw material, the labor, the shipping, everything was calculated. The boxes are locally made here. The sleeves are made here. Everything is locally made. We don't have anything that is imported in that sense of our products. I sell them, the retail price varies between 600 and 700 depending on where you're buying them for the large bars, and the small ones vary from 300 to about 370 depending on where you buy them. Insecurity, the only thing is that how long will we be able to, at the moment we don't have the machines, as I said. We have to, if we really want to grow, we would need to have machines, the full process. And another thing also, as I say, the insecurity is maybe also the labor force. We say we have a lot of young people who are in the market, but are they willing to learn? You know, it's always that, because it sometimes scares them, because you tell somebody, which I also had the same issue, was when I was getting people to work in the markets. You employ people, which I love helping the young generation, and then they don't sell. You know, you're paying them the salary, they come back and they tell you, nobody wanted to buy your chocolates. And you go, nobody wanted to buy my chocolate? But when I go, I manage to sell. So so you can't argue, and you go, okay. So they want to work maybe, but maybe at times it's challenging for them, or maybe it's because it's a market that they don't know. They're not salespeople, they're shy, they can't talk to people. It's all, I think it's global in that sense. Okay, they can argue that, yeah, we want a job, yes, but maybe it's not that. So it's always, I think those are the things I question, and sometimes I question myself, how far will we go? What if we grow bigger? Will I have enough labor force to be able, or trusted people to be able to help me run this whole thing? Yeah, those are the questions I ask myself sometimes. First of all, I'm a very optimistic person. That's why I came back. Otherwise, I would have not come back and said to myself, I'm staying, come what may. So I live by telling myself everything will work out. By the grace of God, we know we're protected. Everything, I always say, everything I've been doing since the beginning has worked out. I believe there's nothing that can, even if something happens, even if there's a hitch, I always say there's always a solution. And I know that, I always say I'm so protected. Huh? And He's always there looking up and helping us. And I always say, even my mom, who passed on last two years ago, is always looking up to me and giving us the force, telling us, this is going to work. We're going to make it. We're going to go very far. That is what I believe. I always say, I tell people, and I always repeat that, realize your dream. Don't do something that you don't like, because you'll end up hating yourself, hating the people around you. Do something you love. And that way you'll wake up in the morning, even in the middle of the night, you think about it, say, what am I going to do? You know, what can I do? How can I improve myself? You know, that is something that if you don't like what you're doing, don't do it, because you'll end up being a very bitter person. That's what I believe. Maybe it's me, but do something and do it right, and do it right. And be very meticulous in what you do. Don't cut corners.